After waiting a month for all the mods to come out and playing for a couple of weeks, I can finally talk about Season 10's Warmind Cell armor mods. They are not bad. I would say a high point in the seasonal offerings for this season, whatever that might mean to you. Today we're going to talk about how they work and my opinion on how good they actually are. Season 10's armor mods revolve around the generation of Warmind Cells. Warmind Cells are generated every few kills of enemies while using 7th Seraph weapons. It takes around 4 to 8 enemy kills in order to spawn one, although you might need even more if you're killing very low tier enemies like Shanks. A Warmind Cell is this giant orange ball that will pop out of an enemy when you get the thing to proc. It has physics, it will roll around on the ground after it pops out, but otherwise will just sit there. When you shoot it, it will explode or do various other effects depending on the mods you have equipped. If you do not have Warmind Cell mods equipped, shooting a Warmind Cell does basically nothing, so I highly encourage you to not interfere with other people's Warmind Cells, as they likely have a setup to make use of those cells, and you blowing them up because I must shoot thing is not going to help either one of you. If you have mods on and you shoot someone else's cell, then the cell will gain the effects of the mods that you have equipped. You can shoot Warmind Cells with any weapon in order to proc their effects. Mods are split up into 3 categories: Arc, Solar, and Void, with all of them focusing on a particular style of play. There are a few mods that also interact with last season's Charged with Light mechanic, but I'm not really going to cover those in this video. There is a lone neutral mod requiring no element and only 1 armor energy point, which is Global Reach. Global Reach extends the range at which Warmind Cells are effective, which I would encourage using almost regardless of build. Arc mods revolve around collecting Warmind Cells as opposed to shooting them, giving you various benefits upon collection, like increasing your chances that your next kill will generate a cell, creating a burst of chain lightning around yourself, giving you melee energy, giving you an overshield, or generating a blast that pushes enemies away. There's also a Season 10 artifact-specific mod that generates Warmind Cells on arc ability damage, not even kills, which is incredibly good for Warmind Cell generation. Arguably one of the best mods for this set across all of the elements. But when you collect a cell, it will not provide the explosion damage as opposed to shooting it, which kind of feels like the best part of the cells. Solar revolves around shooting Warmind Cells to create instant damage or other effects based on rapid kills. The list of effects are solar damage over time to enemies, solar splash damage has a chance to create cells, additional solar damage on cells you destroy, healing friendly targets when near a cell when it explodes, or creating an orb of light on rapid kills with a cell. So this set of mods is more weapon focused. It is focused on almost instantly blowing up a Warmind Cell when it pops when there are a lot of enemies nearby. It doesn't rely as much on having any particular build. The explosions are the build. Void revolves around various bonuses that are applied when a Warmind Cell is in play. For example, bonus damage to enemies near Warmind Cells, or you receiving less damage from enemies near Warmind Cells. We also have a suppression effect, where shooting a cell causes a suppression wave to emit from the cell, stunning nearby enemies, and you deal less damage to those cells, so you can just keep tapping it over and over and over to keep stunning enemies. Finally, you can increase the duration of cells that spawn in, and you can gain the ability to pick up and throw Warmind Cells once per cell, which I think is one of the best mods of the set. So how are the builds? Are they good? What's up with them? Let's just run it back in order. Arc mods are supposed to support an in-the-fray style build where you're causing a lot of disruption and being aggressive, which is fine in theory, but in practice I think falls a bit short. If you're going for an arc-based mod build, I would encourage you to use it to be a cell generator as opposed to a user or active collector. Some of the collection effects are quite good. The melee energy one gets you back half your melee energy on collection. The overshield isn't too bad either, although it's pretty slow to generate that shield. I was not impressed with the chain lightning effect though, and that's on the times where I actually saw the chain lightning effect actually happen. Most of the time, it didn't even feel like it worked. The knockup effect, while hilarious, feels like it is outperformed by the Void Suppression mod. I would much rather have things just be disabled on the ground than knocked into the air and spread all around. It just makes things harder to hit and keep track of. I'd say being able to generate more cells via Blessing of Rasputin is probably the high point for the Arc mods. Tyrant's Surge carries this build pretty hard via great cell generation, but this mod's going away after Season 10 is over. I also tend to look at these things from more of an endgame perspective, since literally any build of anything will work in most other parts of the game. And generally speaking, it's not a great idea to get in the fray in stuff like Master and Grandmaster content without some significant firepower backing you. Even then, most enemies will just kind of tear you to shreds. But if you use your powers in order to generate more cells, then people running other mods can take advantage of those additional cells. Unfortunately, to use Blessing of Rasputin, you need to collect a cell in the first place, sort of negating the benefits. Again, Tyrant's Surge is going to carry here. Being able to make a cell on demand is insanely powerful, but it's gone in a few weeks. Solar mods are all about making explosions and big damage, and I can very safely say that it will get the job done there. I tried a fully stacked solar mod build with Global Reach, and there were positives and negatives. The build used the big hitters like Rage of the Warmind and Burning Cells. Positives were that whenever any low to mid-tier red health bar enemy was within the blast radius of the Warmind Cell, those things died instantly, which makes this great for ad control. Single target damage on bigger targets left a little bit to be desired though, with a Warmind Cell dealing about as much damage as a single mountaintop shot would do. This is mainly in reference to taking out champions in master level content. Better than nothing for sure, but I would not use cells solely for killing champions. I would prioritize using them in a way that will clear as many ads as possible. I also utilized the Grasp of the Warmind mod in this build. Being able to reposition Warmind Cells is the most important part of both Solar and Void builds, because Warmind Cell inconsistency is the #1 issue with these mods. Since it takes 5 to 8 kills or 4 to 8 kills to generate a Warmind Cell, I usually was done with a combat sequence when the Warmind Cell popped out of that last enemy, meaning the cell is just sorta useless. Of course, there are some ways of trying to plant cells where you want them by counting enemies killed or trying to kill enemies in a central location where you would like the cell to drop, but all it takes is an early drop to ruin your plans, or maybe a poorly placed hill to cause your cell to roll or fall off the map. Being able to carry a cell into a new area or to reposition it negates one of the worst parts about the mods as a whole. When you throw the Warmind Cell, you can actually stick them to enemies, and they do have a little bit of magnetism to help stick to a target, so you don't just, fling them into the ether. As of this video, Arc mods and Grasp of the Warmind do not mix. If you pick up a cell with Grasp of the Warmind equipped, but also have a mod that has an effect when you collect a cell, the cell will be instantly consumed. Do not mix Arc mods with Grasp of the Warmind. This might be a bug, it might be working as intended, not sure. There are also a laundry list of problems with Grasp of the Warmind and its interactions with other mods like Global Reach, as reported on Reddit by user PSO2 Redditor. I'm hoping these get fixed soon, but I'm not holding my breath. All in all, Solar was impressive for clearing trash mobs quickly, but do not expect a ton for single target. Void is more about getting buffs and giving debuffs than it is about pure destruction, although you can absolutely shoot a cell whenever you want to make it explode. The suppression effect is incredibly potent with Global Reach, shutting down entire areas. And you can keep tapping it over and over for that suppression effect to keep triggering, since you deal massively reduced damage to the cell with that mod. Or you just shoot it a lot to make it explode. However, suppression doesn't really affect the most important, strongest targets, so you'll want to throw cells at that target, maybe with Warmind's protection, to have a better chance at fighting them or surviving. I was not super impressed by the damage boost. It's only about 10%, but Warmind's protection seemed to be pretty good, although it's tough to tell sometimes how much of a benefit you're truly getting. I must reiterate though, if you have either one of those mods that I just mentioned equipped, they will only work for you, not your whole fire team. If I was running a full Void build, it would probably be Global Reach, Suppression, Reduced Damage Taken, ability to throw cells, and either the Damage Boost or Rage of the Warmind just to pop cells when the situation is under control. My main issue with the mods was the randomness of the cells, but Grasp of the Warmind helps negate some of that. Another issue with the mods is weapon selection. As of now, for primaries, you have an auto, a sidearm, a hand cannon, and a submachine gun. The shotgun is the only true special weapon, and a machine gun is the only true power weapon. The auto and hand cannon are the only guns in the kinetic slot. These are the weapons of the season, as far as seasonal mods go for Season 10, but they're not the strongest weapon archetypes in the game as far as high-end PvE goes, like Master and Grandmaster Nightfalls, with the exception of machine guns. Not to mention, the perk rolls that most of these guns are capable of are not anything I would call special. Most of them will probably be worse than what you're using. These guns just feel so weak, minus the machine gun and the shotgun. It feels like it takes forever to kill things with a primary weapon, and that I'd just be better off only running the machine gun for cell generation. The trade-off, though, is obviously the insane effects you get with these weapons and the mods combined. However, the fact that the most optimized loadout you can get is an auto rifle, a shotgun, and a machine gun if you want to run all three guns, not really feeling the shotgun in this loadout for difficult content. A sidearm as your primary weapon in Master and GM Nightfalls, I just don't think is the greatest idea. I would run with a weapon in the kinetic slot and a machine gun if you want multiple guns, making sure you leave room for a gun like Ariana's Vow or a sniper or something that is actually able to kill things. Speaking of weapon perks, let's just do a really quick breakdown of what perks I think you should look for on these guns. Auto rifle, I have 4th times the charm and swashbuckler. You could trade swashbuckler for rampage if you want. That's good. Maybe Vorpal if you really want that. You could trade auto loading for 4th time as well. Everything else is pretty lacking. For the SMG, oh man, there's not really a lot going on here. I'd say something like Ambitious Assassin and like Dragonfly is probably the play. Maybe Vorpal again. Hand cannon, I'd probably go Ambitious Assassin or 4th times the charm and multi-kill clip. I don't think high impact reserves on a primary is that great. Sidearm, oh boy, probably Demolitionist and Surrounded, maybe Dragonfly. No damage or reload speed perks besides Vorpal on this, which I guess is okay because sidearms have quick reloads generally speaking, and you should probably be using a mod for reload speed. For the shotgun, Trench Barrel is a very good option, maybe Vorpal if you want to get up close and personal with boss targets. Quick Draw is fine considering what else is in the column. Maybe Lead from Gold too, that's not too bad. For the machine gun, Clown Cartridge, not bad. Field Prep, also good. Auto Loading, also good. Field Prep is very reliable though. This machine gun can actually roll with firing line, a first for machine guns, but while I haven't done any tests on firing line machine guns just yet, this video is focusing more on Nightfalls and non-raid content. Therefore, I think firing line is a little bit of a gamble because it relies on being near teammates in order to make it work. And if you're needing firing line to be active, you're probably killing a boss target, in which case you should probably just get Vorpal weapon. Another minor problem is just finding the armor pieces for this build and armor element issues. Trials is the new main source of top tier armor rolls that you can farm, but as soon as Bungie implements seasonal mod slots on the random drop armor they added back into the game, I think getting a build going will become a bit easier with stuff like Prime Engrams. 7th Seraph armor just doesn't drop with high stats reliably enough. Solar and Void are the better of the mods, but the only power weapon is a machine gun, which is in the arc category, and the only special, a shotgun, also in the arc category. So it feels like you're wasting the potential of your armor set because the elements don't match the better mods. Also, while these mods are viable in high-level content, I don't see you taking massive advantage of them as much in lower-level content, especially with a group, due to the ability to kill things so quickly already with regular guns or rituals or pinnacles. You'll be able to see the benefits of these mods much more if you're playing in higher-level content. That's not to say you won't be able to take advantage of these mods in lower level stuff, especially if you're solo. You know, exploding everything in sight is pretty good, but it's tough to feel how good they are when, again, everything just sort of melts regardless of what you use. Even in Master Nightfalls, with a group slightly under-leveled, I found myself at times only able to kill enemies fast enough over my teammates if I was using a machine gun because the primary guns are just weak. It could be because I was a few levels under 1030 though. I'm only about 1025 or so. The auto and hand cannon can just take so long to kill basic targets, and if you're team shotting, you just need to hope you get the killing blow. I often also found myself doing dumb things just to try to get a cell to explode, ignoring my ammo, my positioning, or other things that would just get me killed. And I can't help but feel sometimes that I'd simply be more efficient just rolling with a normal loadout. It's really demoralizing to just not see a cell pop up after a few kills too. The randomness can really be a killer. But when you do get the cells to go your way and there is a big group of enemies, it feels so awesome to see an entire room erupt and explode and vanish and see the points feed in a Nightfall just go through the roof. I cannot stress this enough. The more people who are running Warmind Cell builds in your fire team, the better you are going to find the experience. You'll have more cells being generated, which means more use out of them. Doing a Master Nightfall with only me running Warmind Cells was okay, but when all three of us were running, it was a lot more enjoyable. Was it better than just using normal weaponry? That I'm not the most sure of. Overall, I think I will prioritize solar mods over Void and Arc, but Arc is a close second place depending on what you're going for. The build I have been running is Grasp of the Warmind, Global Reach, Rage of the Warmind, Warmind's Protection, and the fifth that I've just been kind of switching back and forth on. The Arc mods just seem a little too weak for high-level content unless you're trying to be a battery for another teammate running solar mods, in which case, it's pretty good there. I don't know if these mods are enough of a game changer just yet to really say if they're going to be worth your time in something like Grandmaster content. I'm feeling a maybe. I'm feeling a light to decent maybe. Even in 1030 Nightfalls, I feel like I'd be playing at the same efficiency, just running some top tier weapons and not worrying about mods and all that. Anyway, that is everything that I have for you on an overall look at the Season 10 Warmind Cell mods. If you enjoyed the video, positive rating is appreciated. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time.